Hey guys, Peter here. We got another knife review today. Today we're featuring the Kershaw CQC-5K, that stands for Close Quarters Combat. It's an Emerson design, which means that it's one of the few knives out there that isn't made by Emerson themselves that carries the patented Emerson Wave opening feature, which is really, really awesome. In fact, as far as I can tell as of right now, which is December 2015, this is the cheapest line of knives that carries the authentic Emerson Wave opening feature. You can find other knives that feature basically a cheap little Chinese knockoff version of the Emerson Wave that just doesn't work quite as well. This is the cheapest series that carries the authentic Emerson Wave system, which is pretty awesome. There's about 8 knives in the series. There are various different styles, different handle materials, different blade shapes, different blade grinds. I highly recommend you look into them, but for now we're here to talk about the 5K. So just give you some specs to start off with. You've got a blade length of 3 inches. It's a modified clip point blade, obviously featuring the Emerson Wave right here. We'll talk more about that later for those of you who aren't familiar with it. It's hollow ground, so if you can see as I roll the light off there, nice hollow ground knife. It features a thumb disc at the top here as opposed to your traditional thumb studs. And it's a liner lock, stainless steel liners. The handle itself is 4 inches long. It's green G10. It has a reversible tip up carry. You kind of are restricted with that because if you're using the Emerson Wave, you don't really have a choice. You have to carry tip up for that opening mechanism to function. I suppose you could design a knife that didn't care about that and you could carry it either way, but if you want to be able to use that Emerson Wave, it has to be tip up carry. It does have a tubed lanyard hole, you can see right there. Again, I never put lanyards on my knives, but it is nice to have the option. And another nice thing is it flows well with the rest of the hardware on the knife, so it's not obtrusive, it's not in the way for people who don't use lanyards. Total overall length is 7 inches. And let's get into the nitty gritty here. So I've owned this knife for about a month and a half, somewhere around there. Used it semi-regularly, not a lot of use yet, so there's not a lot of wear anywhere to really give you a good indication of how it's going to wear, except for maybe on the pocket clip there. We've got some minor nicks and scratches along it, but nothing too serious. Really nice pocket clip though. It's got Emerson's logo right there, the skull. Very cool. So let's start at the blade, shall we? We've got Emerson, nice, big, bold, and proud on the top there. Emerson knife design with his skull. And then if you go over here, we've got Kershaw, we've got the model number, KAI, which is the parent company, and unfortunately, made in China. But, you know, you're still getting pretty good quality here. The blade steel itself is 8CR14 MOV, which most people probably aren't familiar with. Think of it as a nice higher-end stainless steel than you'd get with the junky 440 series. Fairly good edge retention, fairly good corrosion resistance, and holds a fairly decent edge. It's, you know, nothing crazy. It's not a 154 cm or an LMAX or anything like that, but it's a fairly good higher-end steel. I guess kind of mid-range, I guess would be a better term for it. But so far it's worked great. Came out of the box pretty darn sharp. Let's see if I can do some cut tests for you real quick. Now, a little bit of tearing here and there, but to be fair, I have used this kind of regularly and haven't sharpened it since, so, you know, it's kind of on me. But the blade shape is awesome. It's one of the main reasons why I got this particular model as opposed to the other 7 models that are out there. I really, really like that style. A, it's just beautiful. It's got a really nice shape to it. But B, it's functional. You've got a nice belly. Nothing too extreme, but enough that you could use it. Slight recurve to the blade, which I like stylistically. It can be a little bit harder to sharpen because it's not a straight edge, so if you try to run something like a Lansky system through there, anything other than a rod or a grinding belt, it's kind of hard to get in there. But you can still sharpen it fairly well, and aesthetically it's very pleasing, for me anyway. It's one of the reasons why I really like all of Ken Onion's designs. They have this nice little recurve, very organic shape to it. And the tip's really nice on it. You can see the top swedge comes down, and it leads to a nice, almost dagger kind of point to it. Not quite, obviously, but still really, really good for getting in there if you got to open a package or something. So let's talk about the opening systems on this knife. So first off, you've got the thumb disc, which Personally, I had never been a huge fan of. I had only owned one other knife with it. Mind you, that knife was kind of junky. It was like a $10 knife. Not knocking on $10 knives, but this one was a pretty junky $10 knife. Thumb discs are not my favorite, but you can still use it perfectly well. And in fact, this one's done exceedingly well. It fits in the thumb real nicely. You get a nice action with it. It is, by definition, ambidextrous because it goes straight through over the middle of the blade. I've never tried lefty, but I'm not a lefty, so I wouldn't do it justice anyway. But it works great, just fine. Now, let's talk about the thing on everyone's mind, the Emerson Wave feature right here. It's very unique. It is the only system that I'm familiar with that deploys your knife out of the pocket. Basically, the way this functions is you'll have it in your pocket, obviously tip up, the only way that you're able to have it. And this little hook, as you're pulling it out of your pocket, I'm trying to do this without smacking the table here, it hooks on, and as it would follow through, pulls the blade open and into its locked position as you're pulling it out of your pocket. Excellent system. Super, super simplistic. Works amazingly well. I want to say it was designed by accident, if I remember correctly, and I could be very wrong. Emerson, they were trying to design just a thumb ramp, basically, just tweak with that a little bit. They took off too much material or something, and they got this little indent, and realized, hey, it hooks onto your pocket and deploys the blade. Could be totally wrong, but that's the story that I've heard anyway. But absolutely excellent, and interestingly enough, you can deploy it from the Wave as well. Not well, but you can. But it works so great out of the pocket. Pretty much the only downside is sometimes it works a little too well. For instance, I'll be trying to take it out of my pocket, with guests around or something, and it'll deploy, and you can kind of see the looks like, whoa, what's going on? So just, if you're taking it out of your pocket and don't intend for the blade to open up, you kind of have to consciously think, okay, I need to take it out very slowly. I need to make sure that this doesn't hook onto anything. So, I mean, I guess of all things that could be wrong with it, that's not a half bad one. So let's move into the handle a little bit. The G10 is a nice touch. This knife was, I want to say $30 on Amazon, $29 and change. The price had just dropped. You can get it on Blade HQ for about $35, I want to say. And for G10 handles, that's not bad at all. That's pretty darn good quality, and especially considering your blade steel, that's pretty darn good quality. Very impressive overall with that. As far as, fit and finish, the handles look really, really good. Another reason why I chose the knife was just A, the material, but B, the style of it. It looks good. It's got some good grip to it with that texturing. You do have a little bit of jimping on the back here. Not very aggressive, and they're pretty darn large. And it does continue up onto the thumb ramp, but really it's more the fact that the thumb ramp is there at all that gives it the traction. The jimping is, it's not bad, but it's not anything crazy. Got a nice look through there. Got the partially hollowed flow-through design. Got a backspacer right here that also provides the tubing for the lanyard hole and the attachment for the screws to attach the two handles. It's a very good-looking knife in my opinion. It's very attractive. So, fit and finish overall, I'd say, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. It's pretty darn good. As far as quality, it's an excellent knife for the price, honestly. For a $30 knife, you're getting a bit more than you would expect, actually. Everything's really good. There was pretty much no blade play when I got it, and there still pretty much isn't any. It's pretty much rock solid there. And I've been flipping this thing like crazy when I first got it, and still to this day. It's just really fun. Nice, smooth action. I don't think... See if you can look down there. I don't think it uses bearings. I'm pretty sure it's on washers. Let me look there myself. Yep, it's just got little nylon washers, it looks like. Kind of hard to see if the camera won't focus, but take my word on it. Washers, not bearings. And yet impressively smooth for that. So I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty much the only thing I'm not a huge fan of as far as fit and finish goes, by the way, is when you close it, you get this little nub that kind of pokes out the back there. Not too fond of that. Not really sure why that's a thing, but whatever. I mean, I know you kind of need it in order to properly ride up the thumb ramp there, but it just doesn't look very good. But it's not bad. So overall impressions, I love the knife. I think it's great. Nice little thing to have in your pocket. And like I said, it's the cheapest way to get the authentic Emerson Wave opening system currently, at least as far as I could tell. you're welcome to try and find other knives, but I don't think you'll find one cheaper that carries the real Emerson Wave. And it works flawlessly. When you want it to deploy out of your pocket, it will deploy out of your pocket every time. It takes a little getting used to. You got to be careful with it because I cut myself the first time I used it. When you're pulling it out, don't draw it down your leg. If you draw it down your leg when the knife is out and you keep going, it will cut you. I did that myself, not proud of it, but it happened. So keep that in mind. Once you get used to it though, it's very fluid motion that your body gets used to and likes it a lot. Just a great mechanism overall. So yeah, excellent knife for the price. Great to have that Emerson Wave feature on there. You're not going to find that pretty much anywhere else for that price. Highly recommend you guys take a look at the whole series. The whole series of knives are really excellent. They get the job done. And you got a lot of variety with the blade styles, the handle materials. The blade material, I want to say, is all the same. And stylistically, you've got a nice variety there. So check out the whole CQC line from Kershaw by Emerson. Highly recommend it, guys. So that's my thoughts on the Emerson CQC-5K. Highly recommend you check it out, or check out the line as a whole. Thanks again for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, and comment. I love to get in dialogue with you guys. Tell me what you think about the knife. Tell me what you think about the Wave system. Do you like it? Do you think it's practical? Have you ever had any issues with it deploying out of your pocket when you didn't want it to? So thanks again, guys, and I'll see you next time.